Good morning, church. Good morning. Yes, ladies, you know what? Today is actually the last day that you can sign up, is my understanding. It's either today or tomorrow. Take it as today. And you really don't want to miss this because many of us have dreams, have longings, whether it's for our marriage, whether it's for family, our children, or whether it's even for our calling. That is the topic for next Saturday. You don't want to miss it. I personally am going to be running a workshop, sharing what God has taught me in my journey from being a chartered accountant to then having my own leadership consultancy to finding myself as your pastor in the last year. I have a lot to share. I'll keep it brief. And also we're going to hear from Talana. Oh, she's not in the service. She's with the kids. And a couple of other ladies who have really powerful stories to help you as you navigate the area of calling. So don't miss out. You really don't want to miss out. I don't want to have to console you because you missed out. And I just want to tell you about a couple of other great things coming up. For July, starting next week, we have a 3-part series on faith and finances. How many of you whose finances are being squeezed at the moment? This 3-part series will help you flourish financially, so come along, don't miss out. And in August, we're going to be doing a summer reset series, just looking at different crucial aspects of our lives, just how we need to reset them. And the summer is a really great time, whether that's your phone, whether that's your priorities, or whether it's just life in general. How many of us need a bit of a reset? Come along to that. I want to start by asking you a question. Who has ever flown on a night flight across a major city? Put up your hands. Okay? Pretty much almost everyone. You fly, you're high up in the air. It's dark outside. We do the London to Cape Town flight. At some point you're in the air, it's just completely black outside. Dark, and you're looking out. And then, oh my goodness, you see this oasis of lights, a city shining brightly. The roads are weaving like rivers. The buildings are twinkling like stars. The light of communities shining out miles and miles high up in the sky. You see the city. And there's this element of hope and of excitement and of great expectancy as you look out into the night sky onto the city. I want you to keep that image in your head as I navigate my sermon for today. Today is actually the final installment in our Isaiah series, God Saves. Hey, 10 weeks, we did it. Just one more left today. And we have 4 more days left on our Isaiah devotional that we've been doing as a church family. If you don't have 4 days left but have many more, there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. But do carry on. We've learned so much. But today, we're looking at what Isaiah had to say in chapters 54 to 66, paraphrased, don't worry, paraphrased. And this now, suddenly the focus shifts. The earlier chapters, Isaiah was talking about the servant, whom we know to be Jesus. He prophesied about Jesus hundreds of years before Jesus came. But in Isaiah 54, through to 66, the end of Isaiah, the focus shifts. And he begins talking about the future glory of Jerusalem and Mount Zion. The question is, was he talking about a literal city and mountain, or was he talking about something greater that was to come? The answer is, spoiler alert, he was talking about something greater to come. And just like we up in the plane through the night sky, we look out and we see that city like a beacon of light. Isaiah was prophesying that ultimately was what we would see, is what he saw as the church. So he didn't see it from a plane, he saw it in the Spirit. In other words, the places Isaiah is talking about, Jerusalem and Mount Zion, are actually types. Remember way back 9 weeks, 10 weeks ago, I spoke about types, that the book of Isaiah is a prophetic book, speaking about types. In other words, things that are symbolic, pictures towards something greater to come. And that's what Isaiah saw, something greater to come. The church, us, every people, from every tribe, every nation, and every language. This is what Isaiah saw. And we're going to talk about that today. Specifically, we're going to talk about the shifts that we see between the old covenant through to the new covenant. 5 things that shifted. And if you are not a Christian here today, I really hope and sincerely pray that you may catch a glimpse of why church. Why does the church exist? What is our role on earth? And why it matters. The title of my message is God's People, the Church. And how fitting for today. Today would have been Wolfie's 61st birthday. And he loved the church. For those of you who don't know who Wolfie is, he was our founding pastor right here in London, Every Nation London. He passed away in September last year, September the 13th, from cancer. He's now rejoicing with Jesus in heaven, but we miss him. And it is such a privilege for me to be talking on this amazing topic today, his birthday, knowing how much he loved and gave his life for the church. So let's look at Isaiah 52, verses 7 and 10. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns. The Lord will lay bare his holy arm in the sight of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our God. In those verses, the first shift we see between the old covenant and the new covenant is this idea that we're going from national to global. So in the old covenant, God related to Israel, the nation of Israel, through the law. He gave them the law to show them how to live in covenant with him. But Isaiah, in these verses, saw something greater. He saw that the good news of salvation would go out to not just Israel, but indeed to the whole world. And we know that Jesus fulfilled that. When Jesus came and walked among us, he died the death we should have died. And he rose again and is seated at the right hand of the Father. And he has now commissioned us, the church, to go global. To go global. Paul said in the book of Romans chapter 10, verse 14 to 15, How then can they call upon the one who they have not believed? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. What Paul is saying here is that it is our job, the church, to go and to preach the good news so that people can hear, that they can believe, and that they can receive salvation. The bottom line is that the church isn't just a saved people. We're not just a saved people, saved from the power of sin and ultimate death. We're a sent people. We're a people on a mission. We're a sent people. As Isaiah foretold in chapter 52, verse 7, we the church, bring the longed-for message of peace, of joy, of good tidings and salvation, that everywhere we go, we proclaim God reigns. That's good news. It has always been God's intent that we, the church, go global, that we proclaim our God reigns. National to global. Let's turn to Isaiah 56 now, verses 4 to 8. For this is what the Lord says. To the eunuchs who keep my Sabbaths, who choose what pleases me and hold fast to my covenant, to them I will give my temple and its walls a memorial and a name better than sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that will endure forever. And foreigners who bind themselves to the Lord to minister to him, to love the name of the Lord, and to be his servants. All who keep the Sabbath without desecrating it, and who hold fast to my covenant. These I will bring to my holy mountain, and give them joy in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and sacrifices will be accepted on my altar. For my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations. This is really significant, because under the old covenant, eunuchs and foreigners were not allowed to go into the temple to worship, to bring their offerings. But here Isaiah sees something different. There's a shift. The shift is from the temple to a house. Temple is where God used to dwell in the old covenant. It was a building. But a house on the other hand, is a home. It's where people live. It's where people live. As I said, the eunuchs and the foreigners were excluded from the temple. But Isaiah is prophesying. He's saying there will be a day when the eunuchs will be welcomed. This idea was revolutionary. Imagine prophesying something like this in a culture that said, no eunuchs, no foreigners in our temple. Imagine. But at the same time, it's also the heart of the gospel. Yes, it was revolutionary at that time, but that idea that all are welcome is at the very heart of the gospel. Eunuchs had no family of their own. They were never going to have families, sons and daughters who would carry on their name, that their name would endure forever. And God is saying, not only will you have family, but you will have a name that will endure forever. You will have a name, my name, family of God, sons and daughters of the Most High, that will endure forever. The same with the foreigners. They were excluded. But God is saying, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter if you're old, middle-aged, young, younger, even younger, we all belong. According to the Office of National Statistics, 4 in 10 people in London are foreign-born. How many of us are foreigners in the room? You can tell I'm a foreigner. I tell you what, one thing, the reason Alex and I are still here 25 years later, we came in June 2000, we came for 6 months. We're still here 25 years later. Why? It wasn't for the pound. It was not for the weather. It was for family, spiritual family. We found family right here at church. We found belonging. We found purpose. We found mission. We found something greater to live for than the pound, than the travel, than the weather, than Wimbledon, all those nice things, than fish and chips and curry. We found family. We found purpose. We found mission. And that is what is on offer here today. No one is too foreign. No one is too different. No one is too broken. No one is too old. No one is too young. All are welcome in the house of God. What great news. You know, under the new covenant, Isaiah saw that the temple would go from this exclusive club to an inclusive family. Inclusive. What connotation does that come up today? It's actually been a word that's been stolen from the church, because true inclusivity is God's idea. The inclusivity that the world talks about today may sound loving, but it really drifts far from truth. From Isaiah to Jesus to the church, God has always, 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 always welcomed the outsider, not by erasing truth, not by, affirming everything. That's not what God does. Instead, he extends grace. Instead, he affirms truth by inviting everyone, simply everyone, to be transformed by his grace. That is the God we serve. That is the church that Isaiah saw hundreds of years ago. When he looked out like we do from the plane at night in the sky, he saw the church as a family. A family that is not exclusive. Let it never be said that we do not welcome everyone into this church. A family that is inclusive, but where grace meets truth. Yeah. Family. And then we look at Isaiah 60, verse 1 to 3. It says there, arise. That's us. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. The third shift that Isaiah is talking about is from shrine to shine. Shrines are places where people go to pray. But shine. Isaiah said the church is meant to shine. Jesus said the same thing in Matthew 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. And just like the image from the night sky way up in that plain, that is who we are. In all the darkness that we see around us, through the poverty, through the broken relationships, through the injustice, through the pain, through the sickness, we are called to shine. We are not called to disengage. Friends, do not buy into the lie that your faith should stay private. We are called to engage. We are called to shine. You cannot put a light under a bushel. You cannot do that. What a travesty for the light. Church, we are meant to shine. We are meant to shine. And whereas in the Old Testament, the nations would come to Jerusalem to receive light, the light of revelation and salvation, the church is called to go. Go and take the light of revelation and salvation into the world. We are not meant to shrink back. We are meant to engage in culture. Whether that's media, politics, education, healthcare, business, we are called to shine. Isaiah 60 verse 3, nations will come to your light. And kings, in other words, people of influence, people with wealth, people with power, they will come to the brightness of your dawn. And this applies to London, the most influential city, or one of the most influential cities in the world. It's been known as the financial capital of Europe. We are called to shine. Culture radiates from this city. The media is broadcast from this city, and policy is shaped in this city. We don't need to go on a mission trip to reach the nations. The nations are in your workplace. The nations are in your schools. The nations are at this university campus. The nations are sitting on the tube next to you. We are called to reach the nations right here in the heart of Kingston and London and beyond. London is not just our location. It is not just where we live. Friends, it's our assignment. It is our assignment. Our faith, let me tell you, belongs in the boardroom. It belongs in the classroom. It belongs in the lecture room. It belongs in the newsroom. It belongs in the operating room. It belongs, because we are not called to be a shrine where people come. We are called to shine and go out. That is what we are called to. We don't just go to church, friends. We are the church of God. When people are in darkness, imagine that plane. You are high up on the plane and people are looking in darkness. Shine, shine, shine. We are called to shine because we have good news. We have good news. We are called to shine in this world of darkness. There is darkness all around us. Will you shine? Will I shine? Lord, let us shine. Let us shine. Let us shine. Thank you, sir. Now let us turn to Isaiah 61, verse 1 to 6. The Spirit of the sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me. He's anointed you to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. You know that friend of yours in the classroom who's aching? To proclaim freedom for the captives, those lost in addiction. Release from darkness for the prisoners, those whose anxiety and depression is like a blanket over them. To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes that says, you matter to Jesus, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of despair. There is hope, my friend. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord, for the display of his splendor. They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. The fourth shift that we see from the old covenant to the new is that from devastation to restoration. Isaiah looked into the future. He looked into the future and he saw ruined cities rebuilt. He saw broken people made whole. He saw ancient devastation turned to joy. And in Luke 4, we read about Jesus. As he embarked on his public ministry, one of the first things he did was go into the temple and quote that verse. He was saying, this is who I am. This is who I am, and this is my mission. And he passes that mission on to us, the church. God has chosen us to be the builders, to be the restorers. We're not a perfect people. I am far from perfect. We're a transformed people. We're not perfect, but we're transformed. We carry good news into this broken world, into our classrooms, into our workplaces, into our universities, into our neighborhoods, and we give a message of hope. God has appointed and anointed. We don't do this in our strength. He has given us everything we need by his Spirit to do this great work. The church rebuilds ruined lives and restores broken cities. This city is broken. Open the BBC app if you don't believe me. Walk in the streets of London. There's not a road you cannot turn where you don't see how the touch of God is needed. God is at work. God is at work. Equally, if we open our eyes, we can see that God is at work. But friends, He's at work through you and I. We are the hands and feet of Jesus. We are entrusted with this great, great task. Families are healed through the church. Communities are lifted. Dignity is restored. Justice is done. From devastation to restoration, that is the mandate for the church. Let's turn to Isaiah lastly, 66 verse 18. And I, because of what they have planned and done, am about to come and gather the people of all nations and languages, and they will come and see my glory. This final shift Isaiah is talking about, moving from hearing, simply hearing, to really seeing. This verse comes near the end of the book of Isaiah, in a section that looks forward to the final judgment and ultimate salvation of God. It's a powerful prophecy that God's glory will be fully revealed throughout the earth. Every nation, every language, every tribe, His glory is going to be seen throughout the world. We have heard the gospel. We have even seen glimpses of God's glory. My friends, a time is coming when we will see God face to face. We will see God face to face. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 12 and 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18. We will see God's glory in all its fullness. What does that look like? No more pain, no more sickness, no more broken relationships, no more injustice, no more depression, no more mourning, no more anxiety, joy, gladness, peace, rejoicing, healing, life, no more sin, no more injustice. There is a time coming when Isaiah was in his spiritual plane and he looked out into the dark world. He saw that time. He saw that time. Friends, do you see that time? Do you see it? That one day you will be like Jesus when you see Him face to face. No more wrestling with sin. There is a time, and what a great hope this is. Isn't this the day we long for? Habakkuk 2 verse 14 says, the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. And Isaiah, right back to chapter 6 verse 3, holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is filled with His glory. Picture it for a moment. What will that be like? Wow. The church isn't just waiting for heaven. The church is preparing the earth for the day when God's glory, ready or not, is coming to fill this place. The church, my friends, is not God's backup plan. It's not your safe refuge so that you can escape this dreadful world. It's God's plan A. It's God's plan A. Yes, it is a refuge, but that's not all it is. It's a family. It's a house. It's called to shine. It's called to restore. Right? Let me tell you now, the most powerful thing happening on earth right now is not in a boardroom, mergers and acquisitions. It's not in Parliament, where we debate policy, as good as those things are. And I'll tell you, it's definitely not in a palace where the king and queen eat and drink and be merry. The most powerful place happening, the most powerful thing happening on earth is in the gathered church of God. Do you believe it? Do you see it? I tell you, when God moves, nothing, no one, nada, nix, niemand. What else can I say? I don't know any other languages. Sorry, that's it. Nothing will stop him. Nothing. You know, in a world that loves to tear down, God is calling his church to build. Abby, I'm going to ask, it was in my notes there. Thank goodness for my notes. Call Abby up for the keys. Thank you, Abby. I see how sometimes I get going and I forget. Thanks, Abby. She's a real blessing. As we end our Isaiah series, friends, we come back to this one glorious truth. Our God saves. Our God saves. From the beginning of the great book of Isaiah to the end, and indeed throughout Scripture, we see that ultimately, God's glory is going to fill the earth. The day is coming. But until that day, he commissions us. He commissions me, whether I'm an accountant, a consultant, or now a pastor. He commissions you, whether you're at school, whether you're at university, whether you're at home in the community, whether you're in the hospitals, whether you're in the boardroom, whether you are in the newsroom. Martina. God commissions us, the church, to reveal his glory, because he's coming back. He's coming back. We are not waiting passively for that day. My friends, we're called to be participants in the meantime. We are the people who gathers. He gathers. We are the people he sends. We are his family. We are the light. We are the builders. We are those who testify. We are Christ's ambassadors. Some of you want a big job. You are an ambassador for the King of Kings. What a job. There's no more precious job. We are ambassadors for Christ. But let me tell you, this is not a solo mission. I can't do this on my own. I can't do it just with Alex. I can't do it just with Volya and Annalise. I can't do it just with Josh. This is for all of us, friends. This is for all of us. Will you be like Isaiah? When God was saying, whom will go? Whom will I send? Will you say, here I am, Lord? Will you say that? Here I am, Lord. Send me. Send me. I prayed that prayer so many years ago. Little did I know I'd land up here today. Kicking and screaming along the way, but ultimately landing up here, and so very grateful for this journey. I want to take this moment to thank every person who serves in this house. To the people who drive the van. Silma, you're not here, but you bake the rusks for us every week. Hundreds of rusks. To the hosting team in the blue shirts. To our AV and worship team who come so faithfully week in, week out. To the ministry team who pray. The kids team, the youth team, our Connect Group leaders. For those who come every second Thursday night to pray and travail for this church. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. And this is not to condemn those that aren't. No. This is an invitation. This is an invitation. God is saying, will you? will you stand up and say, here I am, use me? Your gifts are needed. Actually, to be honest, God can build his church without us, but he chooses to use us. Ambassador for Christ, you want an important job? Will you stand up and say, here I am, use me? I want to remind you of the great vision God gave this church. Right back when he birthed this church in my heart, I was like, Lord, you're nuts. If this is really of you, you simply got to give me a vision. I can't believe that this is really what you're doing. You know, ye of little faith, right? That was me. Yes, your pastor. I'm sorry. I did make right before the Lord. I was just testing the call. And it's good to test, right? It's good to go, Lord, is this really what you want for my life? It's good to do that. It's not good to be like Jonah and run away, though. You'll land in the belly of a fish. Okay? But this is what God said. Every nation, London South, you are pioneering a pattern to follow. In other words, this isn't going to be the only church that we plant. You're pioneering a model to multiply. There is a people you will gather. There is a people you will reach. You will build and create community, belonging for everyone who wants to come. You are going to release people into their God-given purpose. The youth, you're going to ignite a fire in the youth. And if you've got a heart for the youth, I beg of you, stand up and be counted. Because the youth need Jesus. Everyone does, but let's get them young. And God said to us, you are going to build with me a church so great and so magnificent for his glory. I'm asking you today, will you stand up and be counted? There are people to reach. There are people to gather. There is a community that needs creating, building, restoring. There is a youth who need the fire of God inside of them. And there is a church so magnificent to be built for the glory of God. Friends, stand with me. Stand with me while I pray. And then I'm going to ask Valdi to share communion with us. Father, I thank you that you don't just save us, you send us. Thank you that in your mercy, Lord, you choose to use us, these imperfect beings, these sinful beings. You choose to use us, and you build your glorious church despite us. I thank you for every person in this church. I thank you for those who have been serving. Strengthen them, bless them, multiply their fruit. And Lord, I pray for those you are stirring, those you are inviting. Will you step up today? I ask, Lord, that you would give them courage, that you will help them see that they matter, that you have a place in your family for them, where they can bring themselves and their gifts, even their imperfections, and you take it and you mold it and you use it and you weave this beautiful tapestry, which is your church. Lord, we say, here we are. Send us. Let us shine. Let us bring you glory. People of God said, amen. Thank you, Valdi. Valdi's going to lead us in communion, which is something we do as family, because we're not a temple where people go, we're a family.